Stars Clooney and Pitt from Ocean's 11 reunite as underworld fixers who have more in common than they'd like to admit. The film is a romantic comedy that's not very exciting. Would you like to hang out with Brad Pitt and George Clooney while they make fun of each other's advancing years and still manage to look hotter than a pair of cucumbers? If so, Wolves might be the movie for you. Though there isn't much more to this casual criminal comedy, which was written and directed by John Watts, the man behind Tom Holland's Spider-Man trilogy, there is something to be said for seeing the friends from Ocean's 11 together once more. Clooney plays an enigmatic black man who works as an underworld fixer, making issues vanish. As such, he's exactly the right person to call when Amy Ryan, a tough-on-crime district attorney, has a rough night in a fancy New York hotel suite. Austin Abrams, a considerably younger man she had met in the bar downstairs, had only been in her bed for a short while when he sprang off, hit his head, and appeared to have passed away. After a single phone conversation, Clooney begins investigating. He brags, "There's nobody who can do what I do," and then Pitt enters and says the exact same thing. To their annoyance, these two lone wolves must cooperate when it turns out that there has been a double booking. To further their situation, they learn that the young man they are meant to get rid of is both A, still alive, and B, in possession of a rucksack filled with drugs that have been stolen. The fixers may not put aside their arguments long enough to accomplish their goal of searching for the owner of the drugs as they travel throughout the city. Wolves is a throwback to the days when Hollywood stars were seen in romantic comedy thrillers rather than superhero movies, like Midnight Run and 48 Hours. The joke in Watts' film is that Clooney and Pitt are more alike than they would like to admit, but the excitement of those 1980s smashes came from the starring men's conflicting personalities. The young man in their care remarks, "You're basically the same guy. You've got the same clothes, and you talk the same." This creates a charming and humorous dynamic, particularly when the gray-bearded 60-somethings realize they both need reading glasses and have poor backs. Yep, you read it right. However, not enough friction exists for any sparks to fly. Wolves is the kind of amiably watchable but forgettable time passer that streaming services were intended for. It made its premiere on Sunday at the Venice Film Festival, but it will be available on Apple Plus before the end of the month. The problem lies in the fact that its two dashing heroes are actually wolves dressed as lambs. Though they are both terse, quiet guys who move and talk slowly, Pitt is the more cheeky of the two, and Clooney is the more sullen. Their sparring is limited to small arguments and muttered insults. They're not Wolverine and Deadpool. The plot lacks the necessary twists and surprises for this kind of midnight trip, which only serves to heighten the relaxed vibe. Although the picture contains a trite and ambiguous plot about Albanian gangsters, Watts is content to let the film progress at a leisurely pace. This slow-moving approach to the plot is confusing since Wolves leaves a lot of unanswered concerns about the district attorney, the drug dealers, the owner of the hotel, and the dubious middlemen who work for the fixers. In addition, it raises a lot of unanswered issues regarding the fixers themselves, who are barely mentioned at either the film's opening or its sudden conclusion. Maybe Watts believed that the chemistry between Pitt and Clooney would be so strong that no one would be interested in the plot. Or maybe he made the decision to withhold some details in case there was a sequel. Okay, it makes sense, but if he does end up making Wolves 2, he ought to try giving him more bite.